graphed systems of equations. You've graphed inequalities. Now it's time to graph systems of inequalities. When we do that, we are basically putting two inequalities on the same coordinate plane, and we're going to shade both of them, and the solution to the system is the place where their shading intersects. That means that in that intersected shaded region, you will have an ordered pair, many ordered pairs actually, that are solutions to both inequalities. So let's see how this works. And I'm going to graph this first inequality. I'm going to graph it in the blue. Its y-intercept is -3. So I'm going to start at -3, which is right here. And let's do this. Yeah, that might be a little thick. Let's try this. Okay, so it's a little bit darker. And I want to rise 2, 1, 2, and run 1. Rise 2 and run 1. I can do this for as long as I want. We know that when we graph inequalities on the coordinate plane and the inequality symbol that's used is greater than or equal to, that means we need to use a solid line to connect those points. When you do yours, if you're graphing by hand, be sure to use a straight edge. Now the next part of this is to decide what side of this line I need to shade on. So I'm going to try 0, 0 in that first equation and see if I get a sentence that's true. Is 0 greater than 2 times 0 minus 3? Is 0 greater than 0 minus 3? 0 minus 3 is -3. 0 is greater than that, so then I'm going to shade on the side of the line where 0, 0 lies, because 0, 0 works. Now I'm not going to go too crazy overboard with this to begin with, because as I said a little bit earlier, you want to look for the place where the shading intersects. And if you've gone too crazy with your shading, you might actually not be able to read what you want for the next graph. Okay, the next one I'm going to graph in purple. Yeah, and see right now this is going to be hard already. That one starts at +1. It has a negative slope, so it's going to go down and right. Down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. And if you wanted to go up and left, you could do that, as long as the line that's graphed when we get done is decreasing. And I see that this inequality symbol does not have an equal sign underneath it. So I know that when I connect these dots, I need to connect them with a dashed line. That's how we show that the solutions on this line are not part of the answer to our system. And again, when you do yours, please, if you're graphing by hand, please use a straight edge. It'll be much neater than mine. Now, because 0, 0 is easy to calculate, and 0, 0 does not lie on the line, although it's pretty close, it's not exactly on the line. Is 0 less than 0 plus 1? Is 0 less than 1? Well, yes, it is. So 0, 0 works in that inequality, or in that inequality. That's right. So I'm going to shade where 0, 0 is, but this time I'm only going to shade in the part where the blue was before. Like this part right here, I got a little bit overboard on that. So I'm going to just kind of erase that if it lets me. Okay, not bad, I guess. I only want to shade in the part where the purple and the blue are the same. So that's everything below the blue, or to the right of the blue, maybe you would say, and to the left or below the purple. And that's where the shading intersects for those two lines. You can be even neater with yours. You can use the edge of your pencil to shade this in. If I used maybe a thicker marker, I could color it in. So that helps. This is the part. These are the ordered pairs that satisfy both inequalities. These work in both of them. Okay. On yours, it should turn out to be a little bit neater. I must try to stay away from reds and greens because I know not everybody can see reds and greens. So the second system of inequalities, just to give you another example of what this looks like, the second graph starts at a positive 2 on the y-axis, and its slope is 1. So rise 1, run 1, rise 1, run 1, and I can keep doing that for as long as I'd like. With this tablet, there's no guarantee that more points means a nicer line. But I do notice there's no equal sign underneath the inequality, so when I connect these points, I need to connect them with dashed lines. Lucky for me, 0, 0 does not lie on that line, so I can test 0, 0. Okay, is 0 greater than 0 plus 2? Is 0 greater than 2? No, it's not. So I can't shade here where 0, 0 is. I need to shade on the other side. And again, I'm just going to just use a few lines, I guess, to remind myself that I'm shading above it. That way, by the time I get to the next equation, I haven't forgotten where to shade. Okay, for the next graph, I can't graph this one the way it is yet. I need to do a little bit of work so that I can get y alone. So the first thing I want to do is subtract 2x from both sides. You can't make your graph until y is by itself. So when I subtract 2x from both sides, that gives me just y on the left side of the inequality and negative 2x minus 1 on the right. So that's going to help me graph this inequality. It starts at negative 1 on the y-axis, and the slope is negative 2. So I'm going to go down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. Or from this point, I could have gone up 2 and left 1. One move has to be negative. Going left is a negative move, and going down is a negative move. So as long as I have one of them being negative, I'm in good shape. The inequality in this one does not have an equal sign underneath it either. So when I shade, or when I connect the points, I should say, I want to use dashed lines to do it. And again, please use your straight edge. Mine are not very neat at all on here. So 0, 0 is kind of a tricky spot on this graph. It almost looks like my line is going through it, even though it isn't. So just to be on the safe side, I'm going to try 5, 0. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to test 5, 0. And I'm just going to write it down so I don't forget what I'm using. Y is 0 in that ordered pair, and x is 5. Is 0 less than negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. Negative 10 minus 1 is negative 11. Is 0 less than that? No. 0 is greater than that. So 5, 0 was right here. I don't want to shade here. I need to shade on the other side of the line. And again, I'm only going to shade now where the orange, that one got a little carried away, where the orange is also, because that's the place where they intersect. There, that's good. So that would be this area over here. And then you can, shade that in more heavily and making sure that you're only getting that quarter of the graph. When you draw these two inequalities on the same coordinate plane, you basically divide that coordinate plane into 4 parts. One of those 4 parts is going to be the spot where the inequalities, the shading of the inequalities intersects, which then that will tell you where the solution to that system lies.